everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast presented by DreamCricket. I'm your host, Peter Delapenna, and on today's show we have the biggest name in American cricket, Ali Khan, the superstar fast bowler on the T20 franchise circuit, is now back in USA colors. He'll be competing for USA for the first time in just over 2 years when USA takes the field for the 2021 ICC America's Men's T20 World Cup Qualifier, starting in Antigua on November 7th. Huge boost for USA to have him back after the failed effort in 2019 in Bermuda, the first time USA had ever failed to advance in regional qualifying for the T20 World Cup. So USA is looking to right the wrongs of 2 years ago, and Ali Khan coming back to the squad is going to be a big part of making sure USA advances onto the global qualifier in 2022. So Ali Khan has generously taken the time to come on the show, and we talk about some of the more recent events in his career beyond what was covered in the book, which featured Ali Khan, titled Inside the Selection Room, A Quest for T20 Cricket Stardom, which is available on Amazon.com. The book charted the journey of Ali Khan from unknown at the 2015 ICC America's Combine in Indianapolis to then become a breakout star on the T20 franchise circuit. We do discuss some of the things in that book, but a large portion of the discussion is focused on recent events since the book, including his call-up to the Kolkata Knight Riders squad in 2020, life on the T20 franchise circuit, especially in the context of the pandemic where life has not been easy for a lot of people, but especially those without a stable central contract to depend on, and the challenges he has had to endure during the pandemic. Before we get to that, I want to remind everybody to please subscribe to the show on Patreon, starting with as little as $3 a month, to help support the podcast and make sure episodes continue to get produced on a regular basis, featuring the likes of Ali Khan and many other people in the sphere of U.S. cricket. If you haven't already done so, go to Patreon. That's patreon.com. I also want to remind everybody that you can subscribe to get the latest episodes of the Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast on YouTube or on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Anchor FM, and many other outlets in audio form. Please subscribe, give us a like, give us a review. Every little bit helps. And finally, thanks to our sponsors, DreamCricket and Musa Cricket Stadium, the first and original turf wicket facility in the state of Texas. For more information, call 713-534-2195. That's Musa Cricket Stadium in Pearland, Texas. Today's guest on the Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast, presented by DreamCricket, we have the big kahuna of U.S. cricket, fast bowling, U.S. cricket in general, really, Ali Khan. Ali, welcome to the show.
Hello, Peter. Big fan of your show. So finally, I got my opportunity. So yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Finally, yes, we had a few attempts that failed to launch, but now we've got it ready to boost off just ahead of the tour to Antigua. You are presently in North Carolina with the rest of the USA team, who's doing a short training camp ahead of the ICC America's Men's T20 World Cup Qualifier. It's just a very exciting time because it's your first time back in a USA uniform since the same event 2 years ago, which you actually never got to take the field in because you got injured in one of the last practice sessions ahead of the first match, and USA severely missed your presence in the lineup. No doubt about that, because USA, unfortunately, everybody remembers, failed to qualify. They lost twice to Canada, twice to Bermuda. So there's some scores to settle this week coming up in Antigua. What are your thoughts being back around the US squad for the first time in 2 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's really good to be back. I've been really excited ever since I, got selected for the squad, and I'm really happy to be back. And I'm really looking forward to this tournament. We just got to North Carolina today here. Everyone is here, so our training camps start from tomorrow. So really looking forward to the camp and getting around the boys again after a long break, as you said. So yeah, it's been a while, and it's very unfortunate and very gutting for me that, on the eve of the first game of last qualifiers, I got hurt and ruled out of the tournament. That was really heartbreaking. And then the results that came after that, it was also very disappointing to see. And I wish that I could have helped my team if I was there, and we would have been in a better situation. Maybe could have been playing this T20 World Cup as it's happening right now. But I mean, everything happens for a reason. I'm back fit and healthy and ready to help my team again. And hopefully we'll try to get those teams back when I wasn't there. So I'm really looking forward to that.
In between, we're going to cover quite a few things in this episode, but again, first time back for USA in 2 years. In the interim, you stayed busy on the T20 franchise circuit, and that's how you basically rose to prominence around the world with Trinbago Knight Riders, and then getting an opportunity in the PSL. You've been Bangladesh Premier League. You got a chance to go to the IPL with Kolkata Knight Riders. You didn't get into the 11, but you were part of the squad a couple years ago for that event, which was hugely significant for you personally and also for U.S. cricket. The first time anybody in the USA national team or USA national player has been a part of the IPL. So there's a lot to cover. But in general, what has it been like for you since that last time playing for USA, keeping yourself busy pre-pandemic and during the pandemic, and all the challenges that has involved over the course of your career personally?
Yeah, it's been a really a long journey, like a really good long journey for me over the past couple of years, I would say, because a lot of things were shut down in terms of like international cricket, but I was still lucky enough, fortunate enough to get few gigs around the world and go in the leagues and play some cricket. So I think it has developed my skills, and I think I have grown ever since I played for USA last time versus now. I think I have grown a lot as a player in terms of my skills, my mental, and my physical as well. It all counts. I've learned a lot over the years, and I've worked with a lot of different coaches in these past couple of years. And yeah, it was a great experience at the IPL. It was like a dream come true. So I dreamt of that, and I got a chance to I made it to the squad for the KKR, and I'm very thankful for them to give me an opportunity. So yeah, it was a great learning experience over the years with all these different teams. I've learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to share that knowledge and whatever I could do in my power, to help my teammates, my team, in order for us to, get through this tournament. And really looking forward to after this what comes next for us, and hopefully we will make it to the next year World Cup. And just like you see how I'll give you example of David Visa, he's back in Namibia team, and he's already helping his team to win few games at the biggest stage in the world. So I'm really looking forward to that role, and hoping for us to go through this round and make it to the second round of 2020 qualifiers, and eventually go to the World Cup next year.
You touched on it again. USA falling short of the qualifier, and now seeing the teams that USA has played against, albeit in different formats. So going back to World Cricket League Division 2, you had a very instrumental role in 2019 in that victory over Namibia, that 5-wicket haul, including very dramatic 3 wickets in the 49th over to help USA win, and that was an instrumental victory in USA getting ODI status. So in recent times, just over 2.5 years ago, USA has had a victory over Namibia, and then again in Florida, even though you weren't part of that squad. But again, Florida, the ODIs in 2019, USA beats Namibia there. They beat Papua New Guinea twice. The USA played Scotland in Dubai in December 2019. And you're familiar with some of the players that you would have been around them on the T20 circuit as well, whether it's at the Global T20 Canada. So USA is in that sphere. To have had victories against those teams, and then to see and to have to watch from afar as Namibia is playing in the next round while USA is sitting at home, what's that like going through your mind?
It's funny that when Namibia got their first victory in the World Cup, I got a call and text from a few people, and they were telling me that's the same team you took 5 wickets against, and they are playing in the World Cup and you are not. So what's going on? So I'm like, yeah, we are as good as any of these teams that you have mentioned, and yeah, we have played a lot of series against these teams, and we had come victorious against them. And especially I remember even the 2016 against Oman, like in Division 4 it was, I believe, we beat them for the championship and we won that championship as well. So, and now our team is even stronger, and yeah, it's really a shame that we are not in that in that World Cup along those teams, because we have beaten them on all occasions that we have seen. And we have a very talented team, we have a very balanced squad, and our players have developed as well over the last few years. And now the best part is that all these players that have been playing for us now, they have played for over a while now, so they know each other much better now versus when they were new on the circuit. But I mean, we had our opportunity for those T20 qualifiers last time, but I think we couldn't avail it. So I think that's extra motivation for these guys this time around. And by watching these teams playing in the World Cup right now, I think that is also, a motivation factor as well for them. So yeah, guys are really pumped up, looking forward to that. And I'm back as well, so I'm looking forward to help the team.
whether it was just watching from the sidelines and not being able to be on the field for those games and some of those losses, or just the atmosphere of the squad in general, what was the number one thing you personally or the team you feel took away from that event that you feel is a lesson learned you want to make sure not to repeat in order to come out on top this time around and ensure that 2019 doesn't happen again?
I think it would be to just do our basics right. Don't get ahead of ourselves, because I think what we did back in that tour was sitting from outside and watching that. We took those teams really lightly, especially Bermuda. We thought, oh, it's just Canada that we have to, go through, and two teams that go through. So it's definitely going to be US and Canada. So I hope that we don't repeat that mistake again, because we can't take any team light. We got beaten by Bermuda twice. So if a team beats you twice, that means they played better cricket than you. So I'm sure guys have learned from that mistake. And once we get on the park, and we will not repeat those mistakes, and try to get them back this time.
One of the things that people have talked about since then, again, you were in the squad, never took the field because you were injured, but you haven't played for USA since. Fairly or unfairly, some people have taken a negative view of your approach to cricket. And from having gone through the experience with you writing the book, Inside the Selection Room, I got a very in-depth appreciation for not just yourself, but for a lot of other players in terms of the personal struggles and the decisions that people have to make. Sometimes playing for your country, as great of an honor as it is, there are other things that have to be taken into consideration. And it's not always so easy as, oh, well, I can turn down a paycheck worth X because I'm playing for USA. It's not a straightforward thing in the associate world in particular. But people who may not understand that, online, you'll see things in comment sections or on social media about, oh, Ali Khan doesn't care about playing for USA, or I can see you smiling right now already hearing this. But I know from seeing you play for USA and just your backstory coming from Pakistan and becoming a citizen, how much being an American means to you, that's not true. But how would you characterize, for other people who don't understand what your situation is and what you've gone through, why you have taken the decisions you've made to prioritize T20 franchise cricket ahead of some of the other opportunities with USA when the two have clashed?
I don't really pay attention to these comments and people, what they try to say, but I do come across them, and I do see them, but I try not to reply or respond to them, because they don't know the ground reality, and they do not understand, the associate cricketer or associate cricketers, because it's not easy being a cricketer. And on top of that, being an associate cricketer is even tough. It's really hard, because in these countries you have to provide for your families. When you have migrated from different countries, coming here, working 11-hour shift, and then started playing cricket on the side, and then you made it to the national team, it means a lot to me. It was a great honor to represent my team, and every time I took that field, I gave my 110%, and my record shows that as well. So it really doesn't bother me what people say, but at the end of the day, I have to see how I have to survive also, because I do this full time, so I have to avail all the opportunities I could, because if I don't, then I will go back to being a amateur cricketer, or a weekend cricketer. Then I have to work 5 days or 6 days to make a living, pay my bills, and then play cricket just 2 days a week. How am I going to improve? So what I think, I have chosen these opportunities which I have availed, because I think it has helped me grow as a cricketer a lot. And secondly, also it has helped me financially to take care of my family, myself. I think any cricketer in my position, or from any other associate cricket, if they would get an opportunity like this, they wouldn't say no. But it doesn't mean that you don't want to play for US, or people, they don't know the reality, what's going on in person's life. So it's easy to just talk from outside. But I mean, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But every time I'm back in my USA jersey, I give my 100% for the country, 110%, and looking forward to this tournament again, and hoping to do well for my country again, just like I did last time I played for them.
One of the things again that stands out for me is the journey and becoming a citizen, especially in particular, and how significant that was in your life, and what the family ambition was coming from Pakistan when you were a teenager, becoming a citizen, when initially at one point you thought you were going to be left behind and you weren't going to be able to come with the rest of your family to America, and the emotions that were going through your mind at that stage as a teenager, to then fast forward, becoming a citizen, going on to actually represent USA on the field. Through that whole journey, what has it meant to you? If you can think back to your USA debut, What did it mean to make your USA debut for the first time? And what does it mean anytime you take the field?
It's still a fresh memory from those ICC combines, just like, in your book, everything is there starting from those combines in 2015. I remember each and everything, and it feels like yesterday. And I think I'm still like the same person and I have the same excitement as still day one from that first trial session. So it means a lot to me. It's a great honor, to represent this country. It's not easy. And even through those combines, there was over 90 people in the first combines, and I was a nobody. And getting through that 90 people, I know how hard it was for a guy like me to get through, and nobody knows about me. And then going to the second round, if people have read your book, everything is in there. But just to elaborate, yeah, and then you're competing against all these professional cricketers, and then making the final 14 I think it still means a lot to me. If I am here, it's all because of that first combine. Nobody would have knew me if I haven't got through those combines. So and I have never forgotten that, and I never will. Every time I take the field, I still think of those days, that don't forget how you got here. I try to give my 100% every time I take the field, and that's what I'll keep doing. And just try to improve, day by day, and every opportunity I get, it's a new game for me, and just try to do my best and give my best every time I'm there.
Okay, you brought up the book, and you remember all those things that went through like it was yesterday. You said we talked about the experience in the course of the book for the interviews I did with the players, including yourself. But being able to read the actual selection room dialogue that the coaches had in the moment during that week, I'm curious to get your thoughts and your reactions. In particular, there's a sequence here with dialogue that involves Derek Pereira, who is a Canadian coach, ex-Canada national team player, along with Courtney Walsh and Mike Young. And I just want to get your reaction to this upon hearing this. And I'm guessing you may have read it, but I just want to go through it again for people who have not read the book. Again, it's called Inside the Selection Room, A Quest for T20 Cricket Stardom. The scene is during the second week of the combine. So now you've got the field narrowed down, like you said, from the initial around 90 plus cricketers down to a group of about a dozen players that was selected to advance. And you were one of those who was selected to advance to compete against essentially the current USA and Canadian national team players. At that point, you were an unknown. Here's this dialogue between these coaches. It involves, again, Courtney Walsh, former West Indies legend, Derek Pereira, Mike Young, who is a three-time World Cup winning fielding coach for Australia. Leading into this, says, now Derek Pereira gives another thumbs up to a player who progressed from phase one despite having never played international cricket. And the context of this was the attitudes of a lot of the players on this day was very poor. And the whole atmosphere was not conducive to good cricket, but there were a few players who were standing out for different reasons, not to do with how they performed statistically in these trial matches. So Pereira says, there were some good observations. Khan, talking about you, I loved his approach. He came and spoke to me after the game. He bowled hard. He said, I was trying, and I only heard the keeper the whole time. So he was just bowling to the keeper. There was nothing around him. Courtney Walsh chimes in. Is that Khan from last week? Yeah, says Pereira. Courtney Walsh. Well, that made a difference because everybody was buzzing last week, and that's what he was accustomed to. Pereira. The way he was fielding. Tom Evans, who was one of the administrators from ICC Americas, mate, he tries his ass off. Pereira. He was gunning it in. Mike Young says, how could you not want him on your club? Derek Pereira. When the game was over, he was gunning it in. Game over, meaning nobody was trying. The attitude wasn't there. Nobody was into it. The game was over. But you kept coming in, gunning it in. Mike Young. And he can bowl. Now, he tries, but he's got some skill. So hearing and reading the dialogue on reflection when you weren't aware of what was going on in this selection room, hearing these coaches, hearing people with the reputation of Courtney Walsh and Mike Young, recognizing these things about you and talking about you in this way when you were nobody, essentially, again, not had played international cricket. Nobody knew you were completely unknown in terms of international cricket. Hearing those things again, reading those things after you got a chance to see the book, what goes through your mind when you hear those things, and what is your reaction upon hearing the way that they were evaluating you?
Even when I read it, it gave me goosebumps, and now even when you read it, it gave me goosebumps. So it's really, really emotional, actually. It's good emotions. It's just like refreshing your memory, feels like yesterday, but yeah, I mean, all those people who were there, Mike Young, Courtney Walsh, Tom Evans, Coach Derek Pereira for our team too, I remember him. It's just, so emotional to hear all that again. It's just like I still haven't forgotten it, and I haven't changed since then. I'm still the same person, and every time wherever I go play, I still try to give my 100%. And I have now a few injuries in the past, which has now made me think if I maybe shouldn't put out all out all the time, because when I try to go all out every single game, as I'm growing older, and especially for a fast bowler and the workload I have, it's probably not ideal situation, because I've also seen in all these leagues that senior players sometimes they don't even try to give 100% at all, and they just try to get through their overs and just relax, try to take care of themselves. It's good in a way that they take care of themselves so they can prolong their career, but I think I will learn that over time. Or is it me, just it just comes naturally? Like if I'm on the field, I don't care what game it is. I don't care if the game is over or not. I can't hold myself. So I think that maybe that's the reason I've injured myself more than probably any other cricketer in the recent times. But I'm healthy now. It's been a good while. I've been playing some good cricket recently. So prayers are with me from my parents, and God is there. I pray God to keep me healthy as well. So I just pray and hope that I stay fit, and just try to be myself. More than anybody else or anyone else. So don't try to be anyone, just be myself, and what is natural to me, it will come out automatically. And if it meant to be, it meant to be. If it's not there for you, it's not there. So everything happens for a reason. I strongly believe in that, and I just give my 100% and just put it rest up to the God and see what happens.
There's no doubt about it that you do give that 100% every time you step on the field. And you talked about basically maxing out your abilities, whereas some other players you see down the T20 circuit or elsewhere, they don't max out their abilities. They can coast, or they do coast. And I find it interesting to hear you say it, because it comes up in the book, and I've seen it and observed it with you. And I've observed it also with Hayden Walsh Jr. And I interviewed him for an episode of the podcast and brought this up with him. And I think it's quite illuminating to see how you have progressed and to see how he has progressed in a similar manner. And I said this to him, not to be disrespectful to you or to him, but at the combine, you were not the fastest bowler there. There were other bowlers who bowled quicker than you.
Yeah, I know that. And they probably still are. They probably still are quicker than me. I remember them.
So you know it, full well. So technically speaking, there were players who were better skilled than you were.
For sure, yeah.
But one of the things I admire so much about you and Hayden Walsh Jr. in particular is that I've seen it, and you said you see it, you know it full well. There are better players skill-wise who have come through and don't go very far, because it's apparent their attitude and their work ethic just isn't there. And that is such a huge part of this. And it's one of the things that I found so fascinating about going through the process and writing the book and being able to sit inside the selection room and hear these meetings, hearing somebody like Courtney Walsh or Mike Young in that sequence in the book that I read out, how much stock they put into attitude and work ethic. And there's this misconception that people, when they're evaluating players, all they're looking for is the radar gun or skills, batting and bowling, and how many times they're bowling this dot ball or that dot ball. And yes, that it gets factored into it, but the how is so important. And the how, big part of the how, is the attitude, is the work ethic. So in your discussions with these coaches, did you ever get a sense at the time that, in spite of seeing players who might have been doing things that were more eye-catching in terms of a skill standpoint, that you were able to stay competitive because you were just willing to outwork and out hustle and out everything a lot of these people just by sheer will?
Yeah, a lot, because when I was there, the attitude I have was, and still have, is like, this is my only opportunity. And back then nobody knew me, and if I don't show who I am or don't give my 100%, I might not get another chance, because there's so many people that literally, when I got there and I saw all these people, I was like, okay, this is gonna be tough. Like, there's so many people here, how am I gonna get through this? But I just, whenever I got my chance to show myself, I just thought one thing, like, this is your only opportunity. So I didn't think about tomorrow or yesterday. I just thought that this is my only opportunity to get through here, and I will give my 100%, give my all out, and see what happens next after that. Thanks to all the coaches who paid attention, and I think they did a great job in those combines, and they picked a really good team as well. Now also even in the T20 circuit, when I go play all these leagues, even though like now I have played in the few leagues and people like kind of know me now, but still I feel like every game I play, it's like a trial game for me because of my background, because I'm a USA cricketer and I'm coming from an associate country. So I think I still don't get the same in terms of like the value that they think for the other players, like overseas pros compared to me, because end of the day, if I go 4 over 40 plus, I will be considered, oh, he's an associate cricket. It's expected. But if it's someone else, like from Australia, England, wherever you name it, they go 4 over 50, 60, that's okay. It's just a bad day. So that's one thing I have felt a lot when I'm playing in all these circuits. So that gives me extra motivation or extra courage, I would say, that I think like, this is another opportunity, another trial for me. It's kind of also like putting pressure on myself, but that's the reality. Like to any cricketer watching, associate cricketer watching, and if they are playing in those leagues, they would understand better what I'm trying to say here is every time on there against all these big pros, and it's like I'm in a trial. Like I have to do well to survive. If I get hit, then that's it. This will be my only opportunity. I might not get next game. I might not get dropped. I might not get picked next year again, or other teams won't want me. So there's a lot that goes through my head when I'm playing over there. I have also spoken to a few senior players. Good. The best part is that all the teams I've been played with, I've been lucky to have good teammates in terms of like senior pros. I'll give you example like DJ Bravo, Narayan, Polly, Chris Jordan, players like them, just to name a few. They give me a lot of confidence. So when I share these thoughts and then they say, don't think about that, because then you will put pressure on yourself and it will affect your game. But end of the day, it's the reality and you feel it. I feel it every time I'm playing like that. So that's why I have to be on my best, and I try to give my best, and I take it as my last game. I feel like whatever the game I'm getting is I play as this is my last game, and maybe that's the reason I have had success in recent times. I would say playing with that approach and that attitude, I think that has helped me.
You mentioned not just being a USA player, but being an associate player. You feel that pressure. Do you feel that you are not just representing USA, but you are representing all associate cricketers when you do appear in one of these leagues?
Yes, I do feel it. But with my name, USA is attached. So they also bring that name like a lot, that I'm associate cricketer, but coming from a USA. So it is a big deal. And, I feel really honored and proud to represent USA cricket and associate cricket both. And I think there's only few associate players who have done well in the leagues. And I'm really proud that I've done well in these leagues and over the circuit around the world, and just like other few players around the world. So just looking forward to continue that and just keep working hard. That's the main thing. Like once you get there, it's hard, but to survive there and stay there is even harder. So I just try to pick up brains from whoever I meet, all the coaches, players, bowlers, especially fast bowlers, try to learn and talk to them. I still stay in touch with them, whoever I meet. So very good friends with CJ, he's a great guy. DJ Bravo. I speak to them a lot. Anytime I need something, they're like just a message away. So yeah, I mean, it's been a great journey, and these people have helped me a lot. And love to play around the world and love to pick brains from every new person I meet and learn from all the coaches. Yeah.
Going back a little bit further to your previous answer and seeing better players maybe not perform, does it get you angry at all? Or does it get you annoyed or pissed off or whatever you want to call it when you see somebody who is better, whether it could be a USA teammate or a franchise teammate or somebody on the other side of the field, or somebody who you're generally competing with, whether healthy competition internally in the team or on the other side of the field, who you know is a better player, has been blessed with more natural gifts than you, who just isn't bothering to do anything to work hard and put in the work ethic and the time to maximize the talent, compared to you knowing perhaps you weren't as naturally gifted and knowing that it doesn't come as easy for you and that you have to work hard to be better. In any way, does that, again, motivate you, just almost get angry and get fired up to want to out hustle and outwork them and outperform them, to show them up, to say, hey, I will win, I will beat you, I will outperform you because I'm just going to outwork you. And no matter how gifted you are, I can show that I can be better than you. Does that kind of mindset ever go through your head?
Yes, all the time. Every time I play, or and if I see anyone doing better than me, whether my teammate or the guy on the opponent side, I take it as a positive motivation towards my bowling, and I just try to compete against them, and yeah, just try to raise the bar and just try to show them, if you can do it, I can do it better, or maybe I'll try to do it better. I'm not gonna give up on anything, and anything that comes to my way, whether it's against me or with me, or I take it as a positive sign, and I add it to my extra motivation, and just try to raise the bar and raise the standard from my side as well, because there's a lot of people who are watching me as well. So, and they want to be like me, so I have to keep going, keep working hard, just have to be that workhorse, who is always running around and try to put all the 100% effort. Yeah.
When you first came back from winning the CPL, coming back in 2018, the tournament in North Carolina, at that time you had been away. So you'd been in Canada playing GT20, then you're in Trinidad. You're in the atmosphere there. Did you have any sense or any grasp of what kind of impact you had to people locally before you arrived in North Carolina and the reception that you got throughout that week? And what was it like, and how did it change your opinion of the U.S. cricket culture and the influence you might have as a role model on young cricketers in the North Carolina area in particular?
Yeah, it didn't hit me until I landed in North Carolina, even from the airport and coming to the ground, and that's when I realized, I've done something good here for myself, for all these young people back home that were watching. I never realized it's going to be that big of a thing here, but when I got here in North Carolina, I met these kids. They all came and took pictures, signed autograph, and they wanted to learn from me, and I didn't know what to say because it was new to me. So I was very shocked and very happy and surprised to see all these people coming up to me and taking pictures and asking me about cricket, bowling, especially these youngsters here in North Carolina. They're very passionate about their cricket. Their parents came to me and they brought their kids, and they wanted me to meet them. So they were really happy to see me, and it felt really good. It felt like, okay, this is something really amazing. Like, I have to keep doing this because I never had this emotions, or I haven't felt this ever in my life. So yeah, that's where it all started. And I was also just recently in DC playing this tournament a few days ago, and I met some people there, and they came to me and they said, you're a motivation for us, and whatever you're doing it's really, it's really impressive. And so that these kind of things, really gives me extra motivation, and makes me really happy that I'm doing something and people are watching me. Hopefully keep doing that as long as I can.
You're still having that impact to this day. As you said, it's something that, whether going back to when you first exploded on the T20 scene in 2018, or most recently now, again, coming back again off the CPL and have these experiences in Washington, D.C. I want to ask you about what it's like to maintain that during the pandemic. For a lot of players worldwide, especially in the full member world, they were protected if they were on central contracts. They were still looked after. They were still getting paid. You're not on a central contract. You turned that down from USA Cricket. We'll get to that a bit later. But because of that, in some way, you're, like you said, you're full-time earning based on your own performances in T20 franchise cricket. That's your bread and butter. Pandemic comes along. You don't have a 12-month contract in T20 cricket. It's league to league, bouncing around from CPL or PSL or Bangladesh Premier League, whatever, IPL. So when the pandemic started, and obviously it's not inside outside of cricket, a lot of people's lives, a lot of people's jobs were affected economically and health-wise in all sorts of ways. It's impacted people. But one of the things that's kind of flown under the radar a little bit in terms of the cricket ecosystem, if you're on the T20 cricket carousel, and this is how you were earning it, and all these T20 leagues are getting canceled or postponed, you have no way to earn. So when the pandemic was first unfolding, all cricket was being postponed, but in particular, the T20 franchise leagues were being put off, canceled, postponed. You're seeing this as a T20 cricketer, and this is your way of earning. What was going through your mind as this was happening?
It was tough. I had some saving to buy a house, but because of the pandemic, everything was shut down, and I had no other option. I had no contract. So I had to spend all that I had in my savings to get through that time. And luckily, I had some money saved from the previous leagues. I didn't spend it all. I'm happy because usually I spend my money. My dad always, gives me that I spend my money. And yeah, luckily I had something to survive on. And so I live with the family, and I try to be the only provider for my family. And I don't try to put burden on my dad, because I try to take care of my family, my mom, my sisters. So yeah, I mean, it was really tough. But one thing I didn't do is that I didn't stop working. I didn't stop working out, even if it's at home or in the. I mean, I couldn't even go to the park back in the day, because we didn't know what it was. So I still kept working hard, still eating good. Even if I was home, I knew that if something comes up, I should be ready for it. I shouldn't just sit at home and just be lazy. I still, in terms of my cricketing skill, yeah, I couldn't do much because there was nothing going on. But in terms of my physical fitness, I kept going. I didn't give up on that. But it was really tough, especially mentally. It was really tough because it was coming to my mind, like, what am I going to do if I run out of this money? Like, there's no backup option here, because I'm not contracted. I don't have a job. All I'm doing is playing these leagues, and if the league is happening, I'll earn something. But if there's nothing happening for a unforeseen future, what am I going to do? So it has affected me mentally in that time period. But luckily that the league starting to happen later on the year. And CPL was the first league that happened after the pandemic. And thanks to TKR for always taking care of me. And it's just like a family. So I love playing for them, and I think they've changed my life. So when CPL happened, I was really satisfied mentally that, okay, there's something good. And then we ended up winning. That helped us extra financially as well. So I covered up what I lost during the pandemic. But again, it's not always just about the money. It's also about how you have to grow as a cricketer, and how you have to survive through these tough times. It can happen again. And what happens if you don't get picked again? So you have to think of all these things. And in terms of not being on a contract, yeah, it's something that does come to my mind a lot. But again, when I was about to give up on cricket, I never gave up. I gave it one shot, and it got me here. And I always think back on that I never gave up then, so I shouldn't give up now either. So yeah, I'll just keep working hard. As I said, I will do my part, and rest is up to the God. If it's there for me, it's there for me.
Today's episode of the Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast, presented by Dream Cricket, is also sponsored by Musa Cricket Stadium, the first and original turf wicket facility in the state of Texas, and now one of the premier venues for the minor league cricket T20 franchise tournament. Located at 5515 McKeever Road in Pearland, 5 miles off the Bailey Road exit from State Route 288, and a half hour south of downtown Houston, Musa Cricket Stadium includes fully enclosed locker rooms and change rooms, plus shower facilities after a day's play, as well as outdoor nets for all your training needs. For more information, call 713-534-2195. That's Musa Cricket Stadium in Pearland, Texas.
You go from having zero cricket during the first 6 months or so of the pandemic to then the CPL is happening, and that's your first outlet where you can start earning again. And all these questions about, am I going to be able to make money? How much savings do I have to rely on? CPL happens, like you said, you win the title, and then to go from no cricket to not just CPL winning the title with TKR, but then to get the call up to go to KKR, Kolkata Knight Riders. The whirlwind of that month and a half, 2 months, what was going through your mind over that whole time frame, and then the emotions thinking about all those things when you finally got the word from Brendan McCullum that you were going to be on your way to the UAE to be part of the KKR squad?
I remember saying this to Baz on a plane. We were on a private jet to IPL. So I told him after CPL, I just said one line to him, and he started laughing. I was like, so after all, 2020 wasn't as bad as people said it was. So that was because we won the CPL. And then I got a call, and Brendan McCullum, Baz, he announced it on the team dinner that I got picked for the IPL. So yeah, it was really happy. I think it was all the reward for all the hardships that you go through, I would say, and the hard work you put in. If you do your hard work, then God is going to reward you. And if your parents' prayers are with you, you're going to succeed. So just believe in those things, believe in yourself. just don't forget the times that you worked hard. I still remember when I used to work 11-hour shift, come back, go to the gym for 2 hours, come back, sleep, and just start over again next day, and work 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, and still, kept going. So I still think of all those things and what has gotten me here, and that's still a motivation factor for me.
The KKR experience, I know you didn't get to take the field and you had to leave before the end. You got injured, so you weren't able to take full part in the entire season that was in the UAE. But the experience you did get, starting off, humble brag, getting to fly on a private jet sent by the owner to go from Trinidad to the UAE and having that experience and some of the other perks you get as part of an IPL squad member. What was the whole experience like for you, and what would you say was the best or most memorable part of that opportunity?
It's true about what people say about IPL, that it is the best league in the world, because flying from a private jet from Trinidad to Dubai, and then going on joining one of the best teams in IPL, owned by world superstar Shah Rukh Khan. So yeah, it was like it was just a dream. Like if it was a dream, I didn't want to wake up from. So I was really excited. I was like, here, I was on top of the world, and then when I got hurt, all of a sudden it just like came crashing down on me, and it was really hurting for me. And I cried in the meeting when Baz told everyone that he will be unfortunately leaving us from this tournament. So I cried when I got picked, and then I cried when he said that I'm leaving. So yeah, it was very emotional on both occasions. And I remember, Shri Bhai, Shrikant, he's the analyst in KKR. When I got hurt, the day I got hurt, he came to me next day. He said, I've never seen anyone bowl like you in the nets. You need to relax. Because I remember how I bowled that day, because it was a third training session with KKR. We were playing someone the next day, and we had a net session, and I was bowling hard. Like, I wasn't trying to impress anyone, but I was just trying to, show like, okay, if you're batting against me, I'm gonna come hard at you. Like, that was my intention, because they haven't seen me. Of course, they know about me, but they haven't, seen me. So anybody who was coming into the nets, I took the ball and I wasn't stopping. I literally bowled good 45, 50 minutes and all 100% in that session. And in the end, I got hurt. I felt pain in my, on my side, and I couldn't breathe. So I just, sit on the ground, and I went to the physio. I was like, I can't breathe. So he said, okay, sit on the table. So he went quiet. He didn't say anything. So he said, okay, just relax, and we will, because I think he knew where it was. He said, we will go and do the scans tomorrow and stuff. So we did MRI, and it was a rib fracture. So my cartilage bone and the real bone, there was like a gap. So when it was on the opposite side, so when I'm bowling, it's affecting this side, like all the pressure is coming off of this side. So I think I did damage to myself, and that's what she said, like, this is on you. Like, nobody did this to you. This is on you. Don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to bowl that hard. Like, you had this and now you've lost it. So I hope you learn from this. That was his word, and I still remember him. I love him as a brother. He's a great person. He gives me great advice. So yeah, I mean, that was also a learning from that experience. Yeah, it was unfortunate, but if I made it once, I can make it again, and I'm going to do that. So I'm gonna keep working on that.
Never heard somebody bowl so hard in the nets that they broke a rib. This is quite extraordinary. You've said it first. But the other thing I think of when I hear that is I'm a bit surprised to hear you say that and describe that experience, because you at one point talked in an interview with me about how Dwayne Bravo, when he was your captain at TKR, the first season,
yeah,
you were coming off the GT20 with Winnipeg with him, and you were doing the same thing. You were going pedal to the metal in the nets. Before the first match in your breakout season in the CPL, you were flat on your back injured. And there was this gasp of, oh my God, has he injured himself, before he's actually taken the field for the first game with TKR? Because Bravo told the team in one of the first meetings, like, oh, he's going to be Walker. You said Walker, they nicknamed you Baby Walker.
Yeah, he called me Walker Yunus.
Walker Yunus. And he said he's going to be leading the attack. And you get injured because you're going too hard. And you had said that he had told you, from now on, 10, 15 minutes, that's it. Don't go any longer than that. We need you fresh. We don't want to get you injured. How did you go from that and having that experience and that controlled aggression in the nets and not maxing yourself out to the point of injury to then go from that to the experience you had with KKR?
By the time KKR, I forgot about that. I should have still, I should have remembered, DJ's words. So yeah, that was my first year at TKR in 2018, and after GT20 went straight there was my first training session under lights. So the ground was kind of slippery. You had to be extra careful on those grounds, and it was my first time there. So I was literally into 3 or 4 balls, and I slipped in my follow through, and I literally just flipped over and fell on my back. Like people could hear in the pavilion, there was no crowd. People could hear in the stands that the coaches and the trainer, they heard it, and everyone was like stopped. Like, what did just happen? Everyone just came to me, and then DJ came to me. He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm not okay." So then I went off with the physio, and in the next meeting, the DJ said, before the training session, "You are here for a reason. You are selected because you're good enough. You don't have to impress anyone." And those were his words. There was kind of message to everyone that don't hurt yourself in practices. So after that, yeah, I got through that. I got ready just in time for the first game. I didn't practice at all after that for a whole week, and I was literally just jumping straight into the game. That was also a very tough time. It was my first year there, and I got hurt, and it was really, I was really down. But again, his leadership qualities, it's so different. It's the best in the world that I've seen, wherever I've been. He just gives me so much confidence, and just talking to him, in general, it just gives me just so much confidence, and it just relaxes me mentally. So I was able to get through that and just did well for them in that year. And during that tournament, every session, if he see me bowling more than 5 to 10 minutes, he just comes straight to me like, "Waka, give me the ball, go out." So he was just really throw me out of the practice, like, "Just go." So yeah, I mean, those are the kind of leaders that that really gives you that confidence and motivation that these people believe in me. He brought me here in this setup, and in front of the whole team in my first year, he's saying that you are the leader of our bowling attack. So these kind of words meant a lot, and I think that was the reason for my success over there.
For people who don't know, you have a picture with you with DJ Bravo as one of your profile pics and some of your social media stuff. He's obviously been a huge influence in your life and in your career. You've just run through a lot of the things that he's done to influence you and be a mentor and just be a friend to you. What would you say is the number one thing that he has done to influence you personally or as a cricketer?
The first thing that he has done for me is giving me that opportunity. He saw me in that US Open playing with me in US All-Stars, standing in the slips. His brother Darren Bravo told me later on down the years that he was standing in the slips with me, and he told him that I'm taking him to TKR, and he said, "Are you joking?" I replied to that, and he said, "Yeah, I'm taking him because he has outswinger, he comes in reverse swing in the end." Like he said, I haven't seen that. Yeah, he changed my life from that opportunity that he gave me, and I've learned a lot from him, and he called me his son. I have so much respect for him. So even when I text him, he says son. So he's like a big brother to me, and yeah, it's really good to be around. He's genuine. He's someone who is genuinely good at heart and help other people. And I asked him one time, like, "Why you do this? Like I was just a cricketer over there. Why did you think that I could come here and do it?" He's like, "Being a champion, I call myself a champion. It's not just because I'm a champion. It's about helping other people. And if I see someone talented, then I'm gonna give them an opportunity." So he gave me that opportunity and helped me, to get through that. And yeah, from there on, it has changed my life.
To say the least. It's an understatement for sure. Now, I want to go back to the US. Coming back to the US squad for the first time in 2 years. The last match, you were in the squad for Bermuda in 2019 for the same tournament, the ICC America's Men's T20 World Cup Qualifier, but you didn't play because you were injured. Your last match was actually in Namibia at World Cricket League Division 2. You played in the ODI against Papua New Guinea at the end of that tournament. That was USA's first ODI since the 2004 Champions Trophy in England. You were offered essential contracts, turned it down. You and Hayden Walsh Jr. turned down the contracts. You were basically the only two players who did so. And again, a lot of people from the outside see that, question that, want to know about your commitment. Why would you turn down a contract? And why would you pursue these opportunities on the T20 franchise circuit instead of the guarantee of a USA contract? And some of this was touched on in the book. You did talk about this in the book a little bit. But again, for people who haven't read it, people who are not familiar with the situation, curious, why would somebody turn down a central contract? What was your reason, or the main reasons why you decided to turn that contract down? And how would you communicate to somebody to make them understand that even though you did turn down the central contract, it doesn't mean that you're not committed to playing for USA?
At the time that I was offered that contract, it was, I think, timing, I would say, wasn't the right timing for me to sign something like that, because first, I never had a contract with them, so I didn't know any conditions, terms and conditions, how it's going to affect me, or beside the money, what it would mean to me as a cricketer, and how I'm going to, continue to grow myself as a cricketer and, make my name out there in the world. So I think it happened. It was, the timing of this was just before the T20 Canada, and I had a contract offer from them for that tournament, and there was like a training camp for USA Cricket, and they were saying that if I signed the contract, I wouldn't be allowed to go to the T20 Canada, and I would have to attend that camp. So I had two options: either to sign it and forget about the T20 leagues or GT20 at the time, and just go with the camp. When I spoke to the people about the contract, I just, it just felt like I'm gonna be like trapped, that I wouldn't be playing freely wherever I want. So that was one feeling that I had at the time. I knew like inside that I would have been happy to go play GT20, because just by watching all these leagues and how they play that cricket, and it's on TV and everyone is watching, like I wanted to go and perform over there in front of the world, because now it's different, but back then nobody was watching USA Cricket. If we are playing in Namibia, I'm taking 5 wickets, or if I'm playing wherever with USA, nobody's watching. Yeah, I will be there, but people are not watching. People don't know who I am. So I wanted to show the world what I can do. And I've done this hard work. I'm going to go show them who I am. So I took that opportunity. It was a tough call. Yeah. Financially, like it wasn't stable. It wasn't stable, because you're going somewhere where you have never been before. You don't know how you're going to perform. You have no other contracts. You have nothing. You have no job. So what is going to happen if you don't do well? So those things were there. But again, I just believed in myself. This is what, like, going to that league would have made me happy. And that's what I did. I believed in myself and I took that decision. Of course, some people were not happy about it. But again, people have their own opinions. They don't understand what I've been through and what dreams I had. So I wouldn't have made it to the IPL if I hadn't taken that step at the time. And making it to the IPL, I think, is the biggest achievement in my life so far. But I haven't got the game there, but still making it to that stage, I still feel very proud of myself, and I've earned that. So yeah, I just went there and just tried my best. After the first game I played there, I bowled 4 overs, 2 for 18. So before the game, in the presentation, at the toss, Bravo told the commentator, I think it was Mike Hazeman or Dean Jones, one of the commentators, he said, we have Ali Khan in the team, so watch out for him. And at the end of the game, I had 4 overs, 2 for 18 in my first game over there. I still remember that. It was against Montreal Tigers. So yeah, I did well over there. And from there on, the next day, DJ called me into his room and he said, do you have an agent? And I said, no, I don't. And then he introduced me to his agent, and he came to in his room and we all sat down, and I signed with Eddie. That's the first time I met him there, and he was interested in signing me just because he saw me watching on TV. And then he was asking DJ about me. What I'm trying to say is that, like, he wouldn't have signed me if I was playing for USA somewhere. But I was playing on TV and he saw me there and he saw potential in me. And then he signed me, and I think he has helped me a lot since then to get me through around the world. So eventually, playing in all these leagues, whether it's me or some other player from USA or any other country they go play, it's always beneficial for your country because you come back with those mindsets and training and all the things you have learned and giving back to your teammates or your fellow team, your country. And I always think it as a positive way. What I took a decision, I still back behind it, even if I have another opportunity again. And if I'm in that situation, I probably would do the same, and I have no regrets, and I'm very happy with my decision.
There's two parts of this to analyze. One, you talked about the competitive thing. I've heard this a lot from associate players who go in these leagues. Again, it's not snubbing their national team. It's in a lot of ways they're looking to gain experience, to gain the competitive edge that, rightly or wrongly, you can paint it however way you want. It just, in some ways, isn't there at associate level. You're only going to get exposed to this by playing against guys from test nations, full member nations in these franchise leagues. It's a different echelon of player you're competing against and testing yourself against. But the financial aspect, there's also that part of it too. And for context, in year two, so you talked a little bit about year one in the GT20 and what was going on, not having the agent at the time. But in year two, so when the USA Central contracts were offered, this was 2019. So you play the GT20 2018, you have the breakout CPL in 2018, but in 2019, you switched teams to go from the Winnipeg Hawks to the Vancouver franchise. And this is publicly available information. You were traded and you were listed as having signed a $25,000 contract for the Vancouver franchise, Vancouver Knights. So the USA Central contracts were communicated in a press release ranging between $60,000 and $90,000. That's for 12 months. You were offered 4 weeks, $25,000 for 4 weeks. So you convert that over the course of a year, franchise league to franchise league, it can be very, very lucrative, a lot more lucrative than being on a fixed 12-month contract, which, as you said, part of the stipulation of the contract was you were not going to be allowed to go to the GT20. You were being told to go to this USA training camp instead. And so it's not just the competitive edge and the competitive aspects of trying to expose yourself to a higher class of competition. There's a very, very significant, very serious, life-changing financial aspect to this that, again, I don't think a lot of people understand. So how much of the decision-making factor to turn down that central contract would you put, if you had to put a percentage on it, how much of it was based on the competitive opportunities and testing yourself and improving yourself and the exposure to get on TV in these other leagues versus the financial aspect where, yeah, in a 12-month period, you might have that wider stability and security, but incrementally in the T20 leagues, you could have a much, much, much greater financial gain and much more lucrative opportunities based on your performance.
That's right what you said, but at the time I wasn't thinking too far ahead, like what am I going to get? But at the time, like it was my first contract, and for $25,000, my first contract, okay, I was like, it was good. The second year with Vancouver Knights, that was 25.
So for year one, I believe you were offered 10,000 for the
first year.
Winnipeg.
I was 10,000.
So to go from 10,000 again, 10,000 to 25,000 1 year.
Yeah.
You keep going in that trajectory. People can see where that's going. You can see where that's going.
Right. So that's where you have to, see you're very more secure as a provider for your family and how you have to survive in this country and not to have a 9-to-5 job on the side and have to worry about taking your days off from work. Because when I used to work and had to go play 2 days on the weekend, it was really hard for me to get even the Saturday off, It was really tough. And then when you go take time off work, I wouldn't get paid vacation. It was cutting my salary from the work. So you have to think of all these things that the time you have sacrificed. And I started playing professionally really late. I was 26 years of age already. And, you have to make the most out of, as a bowler, you don't have a long life because you never know what injury can come to you and that's all for you. So you have to make the most out of what you can get. And, it was just, opportunity that I availed, and it was a decision to make that I made at the time. And yes, there's good money, but again, it's not guaranteed versus a secure contract, from your country. It really depends on the individual, how they look at it. But yes, money was there, but also in terms of me, playing on TV and showing my skills and talent, playing alongside other players to the rest of the world, showing them, everyone watching it. So that was also an extra, factor in that. But yes, financially it has helped me, and it's been good, and I still stand with my decision.
How would you make somebody understand, or how would you communicate to somebody that what you're arguing, that it will benefit U.S. cricket in the long term, if you're performing these leagues and you're opening up the door to more USA teammates potentially getting opportunities in these leagues if you perform well, and also bringing the competitive edge that you get from playing these leagues and the exposure and bringing that back, balancing that with USA missing you from the lineup and having results like they had in, say, the Tour of Nepal in February 2020, where they went winless and they got hammered and they lose one game 35 all out. So you're trying to tell people at one point, which I agree with, you are benefiting US cricket in the long term by doing these things as representing USA in a personal capacity. But at the same time, some other people might look at it and say, well, actually, it's not helping US cricket because he's out of the lineup and USA is losing games.
It's a tough question, you know. It's a tough question. You're putting me on spot, but it's just like, first you have to go out and learn. Like, you're not gonna become a better player if you're playing someone as just as good as you or below you. You're just not gonna become a better player. You're not gonna get here. The only time you're gonna go here if you play someone here. So if you go and do well against someone over here, when you come back here, of course that will help you a lot. Not just your team, but also your teammates. You know, that's what I'm trying to tell here, that playing against those big giants, it's not easy when you're bowling in a power play to Chris Gale or, you know, Chadwick Walton, Andre Fletcher. All of a sudden you're against all these big guns and you don't know what to do. But once you do well, that gives you a lot of confidence. Your whole mindset is changed. Your body language is changed. The way you carry yourself is changed. So when you come back to this level against associate, it will definitely help you a lot. It will help your teammates. It will open the doors for a lot of people. Also, not just as cricketers, but also how they think about their future and what they want to do in future. Because I shouldn't be the only one playing outside cricket. There's a lot of other talent in this country, and my teammates are as good as me or even more talented than me. And I think if an opportunity is there, I would still tell them to take it.
You're back in the squad for this tournament. Again, unfinished business with Bermuda and Canada trying to right the wrongs of 2019. And you being there is a big plus. Some people may be wondering, is this just a one-off or is this more of a long-term commitment? So what can people expect of you in terms of your availability going forward? Is it still going to be contingent upon whether or not there's a clash with a T20 league? Because again, realistically, from a pragmatic standpoint, you have to earn, and that's the best earning opportunity. Or can fans and teammates expect to see more of you on a regular basis going forward?
Let's see how this goes. So all my focus is right now on this tournament, and then we worry about all those things later on. But my goal and aim is to always be available for the T20 World Cup and take USA to the T20 World Cup. And if I have to sacrifice a couple of my contracts in order to do that, I'm willing to do that. If in between anything comes up again in terms of contracts with USA Cricket, or we are always open to that. And yeah, I would always love to play for USA Cricket, because yes, you are a professional cricketer. You also have to earn on the side for your family and for yourself. So people who live with their parents, they don't have bills. But when you live on your own and you support your parents and your family, you have bills and rents to pay. So I hope they understand that when they put those comments out, that they're not sitting in their parents' basement and writing those comments.
Well said. Very well said, Ali Khan. Even though some of your greatest performances for USA have come in 50 over cricket, again, in World Cricket League Division 2, you've kind of hinted at it. Do you see yourself more as a T20 specialist now going forward, just because of the physical toll that 50 over cricket takes on a body, especially a fast bowler's body? Or do you see yourself as being potentially available to represent USA in ODIs, depending on the clashes and availability going forward?
Yeah, depending on the situation, we see how it goes. But I haven't played 50 over cricket in a while. That was my last 50 over game in Namibia against PNG. I haven't played 50 over games since then. Yes, I have played my local team 45 over games in Houston, but it's not the same. When playing for your country in 50 over game in ODI, that's a whole different story. So right now I've been just playing T20 cricket over the past few years, and so my body is used to like T20 cricket at the moment, but it's not that hard adjusting from T20 to 50. It just needs some sometime like a month or so, and just with the good training and the coaches and stuff and the gym, just get my body in the right alignment and shape, and just with some longer spells, if you have the skills and the mindset, I think physically it will be easier for you to adjust. And playing in all these leagues, what I have learned is that it doesn't matter where you play, you just adjust. If you're a professional cricketer, you should adjust to the conditions as soon as possible, and it shouldn't be that hard for you to adjust. So I think it shouldn't be a problem in terms of going from T20 to 50. It's just in terms of the mindset and just getting back in the same groove of 50-over cricket. But yes, I will try to be coming back in USA colors more often now, hopefully.
That's music to the ears of a whole lot of USA players, teammates, and fans around the country who will be hearing that. So that's a positive sign going forward for the future. All right. Favorite 11 time with Ali Khan. I want to remind everybody that the Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast is presented by Dream Cricket. The Dream Cricket Pavilion Shop can help you fill up all your cricket kit requirements, from top-of-the-line English willow bats made by all the top manufacturers, as well as helmets, gloves, pads, jerseys, highlight DVDs, books, and more. Get 10% off all orders over $400 using coupon code DCUSA. That's DCUSA. Go to shop.dreamcricket.com to take advantage of that offer today. Dream Cricket Academy is located at 400 Apgar Drive in Somerset, New Jersey, just a mile off of exit 12 on Interstate 287. For more information, call 908-938-3787 or email cricket@dreamcricket.com. Favorite 11 time with Ali Khan. You ready to rock and roll?
Let's do this.
Your favorite roommate on any cricket tour?
Aaron Jones.
The one and only.
Just because he's sitting right there. No, a couple of them. Aaron Jones and Hamza Tariq in TKR.
If you had to go one or the other, favorite, not favorites, not plural.
Oh, can't pick one. Tough one. He's sitting right here. But no, I love them both.
USA's best bowler and USA's best batsman, best batter, all in the same room. The dynamic duo on tour back together again.
We have to keep the same ritual that we kept in Namibia. We were both roommates and we got through ODI status. We were just talking about it yesterday, and this time we have to go to the World Cup. So he scored 100. That gave me motivation to go and take 5 wickets in the same game. So we still remember that.
This is the secret sauce, how it's made. Now everybody knows.
AJ and AK.
Your favorite. Now this is a Ali Khan special. I tailored this question just for you. As one of the very rare associate cricketers on the T20 franchise circuit, and as somebody myself who is a frequent flyer going around the world to cover teams on tour, I've had an opportunity, especially during the pandemic. They've been giving away free business class upgrades left, right, and center because nobody's flying on these planes. All these planes are like 3/4 empty. So as somebody who's been around the world on these franchise T20 opportunities, I have to ask you, what is your favorite business class service that you ever had flying around the world on all the various commercial airlines? And your private jet experience with KKR is not included. It's not allowed. You got to go with a commercial airliner.
I was gonna say nothing beats that, but from commercial, always my favorite is Emirates. It's just the best. It flies directly from Houston to Dubai. My sister lives in Dubai. She picks me up. The service is amazing. I just love their business class. Yeah, that was the best one.
So Houston to Dubai direct Emirates. That's the Ali Khan go-to service.
It's about 16-hour flight, but I don't mind it. I enjoy that flight, going back and coming back. I just love it.
So this is question 2A. Follow up to that. 16-hour flight. What is your favorite way to pass the time on a 16-hour flight in business class?
Try to enjoy and not sleep all the time. Watch movies, and the best part is the food. Their food is amazing. The service is amazing. The drinks and the dry nuts that they gave, it's just unbelievable. The service is really good. The food is amazing. The movies, the entertainment system is really good. So yeah, I enjoy that. I try not to sleep, but at some point you have to sleep. So I just recline and just sleep.
It's a hard one to choose because, again, if you're in economy, not to be too snobbish about this, I've been lucky enough to get a few business class upgrades during the pandemic. But if you're in economy, it's a miserable experience. You want to sleep, but it's not very comfortable sleeping because the seats are terrible. You're in business class. You get all these very wonderful perks. You get the live flat seat, but you want to be awake to experience these perks. Yet the live flat seat is the most enjoyable sleeping experience you can have on a plane.
It's just like you want to enjoy, like you're not gonna get many business class flights. So you gotta enjoy what you can while it lasts.
All right, your favorite city or country that you have toured
Dubai.
for cricket?
Dubai, hands down. Still is. And after that is Trinidad. Just because I'm like a celebrity there and people love me. I have a lot of fans there. So yeah, these two places are my favorite.
This is a true story because when I went to Trinidad in 2019 for the Super 50, you were well known. When I taxi driver I had would take me to the Brian Lara Academy from downtown Port of Spain, and I mentioned I was covering the U.S. team. Oh, U.S. team, Ali Khan. That's who we knew. He didn't know anybody else. He knew Ali Khan.
Yeah, a lot of people say if I run election, I could become a prime minister there. So maybe in future, never know.
What are you waiting for?
Down to Trinidad.
What are you waiting for?
I need a passport first.
Your favorite cricket ground experience you've had as a player, and when I say that, I mean the quality of the pitches, the quality of the training facilities, the lunches, the teas, the fan atmosphere, the overall scenery of the ground. What's your number one cricket ground anywhere in the world that you've been able to experience?
I have to go with Queen's Park Oval in terms of the on-field experience, but as an other like location and the scenic wise, I really enjoy playing in Abu Dhabi's Sheikh Zayed Stadium, and I had a good success over there. It's just the ground, the way it's built, it's just very luxurious ground. It just gives you that feeling of like a big facility and environment. The food there is amazing. The way food is amazing, but on-field experience and the crowd and the stands, the music, the support, and the craziness, and the girls screaming your name. It's in Trinidad, Queen's Park Oval.
You mentioned the girls screaming. Should I add an extra question here? What's the favorite marriage proposal you've received while in Trinidad?
Oh yeah, there's a few. The lady in the stand, I had a poster. I still have that picture. You can maybe put it on here. It says, "Ali Khan, will you marry me?" on live camera. So yeah, that went viral. So I already posted it on my social media as well.
Your favorite cricketer of all time?
Shoaib Akhtar.
A fellow speed demon.
Growing up, when I was a kid, he was like back in the days. I was a little kid, and he was at his prime. And just watching him. After I watched him, I would go on the rooftop in my home in Pakistan, and just try to copy him and bowl. So when I was growing up, I just wanted to like bowl fast and run in hard. I just couldn't have hair like his, but he's just amazing. What a personality. No one like him before or after since then. He's just gone.
Your favorite non-cricket athlete of all time?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Threw me a curveball with CR7. I was expecting you to say LeBron James. What happened?
Yeah, but I started watching basketball after soccer. So Cristiano Ronaldo is the first one. Then I would say LeBron James, just because he is from Ohio and I was living in Ohio at the time as well. So my number 23 that I picked was because of LeBron James. So yeah, I mean these two both are the great of the games, and they're so old. LeBron is 19th year and Ronaldo is already like 35 years of age, and he's still still fit and still going and spending so much time and money on their bodies just to stay fit and play. Is just an inspiration.
Now, this is another Ali Khan Taylor question for people who don't know, and this is not a narcissistic thing. Ali Khan keeps video clips in his phone of wickets he's taken to use as motivation to pump himself up. What is your favorite wicket that you watch on replay on your phone to get yourself fired up?
It used to be the first wicket of the great legend Sangakkara, but then over the years I've changed it to the 2018 CPL final, the first ball of the final, the in-swinging ball to the Cameron Delport. And why I see that, because the way it was planned, it didn't just happen, we actually planned it. And we planned it with Sri, coach, DJ Bravo, the captain at the time. This is like something people don't know. They just watch what happens on the field. They don't know what happens behind the scenes. So we actually planned it for him. We had a leg slip. So we had a deep square leg. And he would think that we're going to bowl him short. But my plan was to, because I get the naturally swing, so our plan was to make him think I'm going to bowl him on his ribs, but it will be actually length ball coming into him. So when I bowled that ball, he was waiting for that short ball and his feet didn't even move. So he just went, and that was like the best ball that I bowled on the plan, and it was perfect.
Your favorite pizza topping?
It's not pineapple. If it's halal, I would put chicken because I only eat halal chicken. But if it's not, then I just keep it cheese.
A proud member of the Kevin McAllister Cheese Pizza Club. I'm beyond thrilled to hear this. Your favorite movie of all time?
There's quite a few. I love movies. I love watching movies. When I'm traveling, I'm always on my laptop watching all these movies. But if I have to pick one, it has to be Scarface, Al Pacino.
Why Scarface?
It's just the way he acted in that movie it's just so good to watch, and then the story and just it's really good. I enjoy watching Scarface. I watched it over and over again.
Who is the closest figure to Tony Montana in the U.S. cricket?
Xavier Marshall.
X. All right. All right. Last but not least, your favorite show to binge watch, whether it's on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, any streaming service or box set, or if it's on your laptop, you've got a bunch of episodes downloaded. What's your go-to binge watching show on a plane, or once you get to a place and you're quarantining, you've got a lot of time on your hands?
I try to watch all the shows that are coming out, but if I have to pick one, my all-time favorite is Breaking Bad and Prison Break. These two are my all-time favorites.
Who is the closest figure in U.S. cricket to Heisenberg? Walter White. Who is it?
Right now, if it has to be, I would pick Jaskaran. Because he spends a lot of time analyzing things. I hope he don't watches this.
Does he have a chemistry set?
I don't know what he has, but he has always something cooking. Especially after he hits 6 sixes.
You can say that again, that's for sure. He's definitely got something cooking, and hopefully he's got something cooking for USA coming up in the T20 America's qualifier. Like a whole lot of other players in the team, including yourself, Ali Khan. Thank you so much for coming on the Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast. I'll give you the final word. Anything you want to say they haven't already said about cricket, your journey in cricket, that you want people to know that they don't already know about you?
Just one message to all the people, is just not always what you see. It's always if you don't know someone personally or through someone, don't have a bad image of them in your head. Just try to get to know them or message them directly and just try to get to know them, and just always be happy for someone else instead of bringing them down. It's your own countrymen. So if I'm doing something, it's making my country proud as well. So that's the only thing I have to say.
Be positive, Ali Khan. That's the message. Thank you so much, Ali Khan, for coming on the show. Good luck to you and the rest of the team in Antigua coming up. The ICC Americas Men's T20 World Cup Qualifier. USA is competing with 7 teams in the Americas region from November 7th to 14th. And the top 2 teams go on to the Global World Cup T20 Qualifier that will be played early next year. Ali Khan, always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for the good wishes. And also, one more thing I want to say to all the people who have supported me throughout these years. I know who they are, and they're very loyal. And I haven't forgotten you guys. And so thank you for always supporting, and keep supporting me and our USA team. And hopefully we make it to the World Cup.
My thanks again to Ali Khan for coming on the show ahead of his and the rest of the USA team's start on November 7th at the ICC Americas Men's T20 World Cup Qualifier in Antigua. And those matches can be watched online at icc.tv. And I'm sure all eyes will be on Ali and the rest of his teammates as they look to bounce back from the disappointment of 2 years ago. Again, I want to remind everybody, subscribe to the podcast on Patreon. You can be an Eagle, a Patriot, a Captain. There's so many levels you can help support the podcast starting at just $3 a month. Go to patreon.com to do so. And also, again, you can subscribe to get the latest editions of the podcast as soon as they land by going to subscribe on YouTube to get the video format of the show, or if you prefer audio download while you work or while you are at your leisure, you can subscribe at Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, and numerous other podcasting platforms. That's it for this edition of the Stars and Stripes Cricket Podcast. I'm Peter Delapenna, reminding everybody, God bless America, and God bless American cricket.